We are celebrating the second Sunday of Epiphany. Now, Epiphany is defined as an illuminating discovery, realization, or disclosure. When we speak within the Christian context of Epiphany, it is about the disclosure to the Gentile world, to us, about God's physical presence in the baby boy named Jesus, whose parents came from this obscure village of Nazareth in Galilee. Although the Christian calendar only gives us 5 weeks this year of stories about Jesus' identity being discovered beyond the Hebrew culture, I lean towards believing that as disciples of Jesus, we are in a constant state of epiphany. I like the UCC's phrase, the still speaking God. That implies a continuing of epiphany. We can always see God's physical presence being revealed to us if we continue to open our hearts to God's revelations. In the first chapter of the Gospel of John, we see Jesus starting to build his team of disciples. A story about men who encounter Jesus' call of, "Come, follow me," with what seems to be extraordinarily little reasoning as to their willingness to leave their vocations and to follow a person that they do not know much about. Or so it seems. Maybe one of the lessons that we can glean from their example is in the definition of disciple itself. The study of or learning about. Maybe one of the lessons for us is understanding that we only learn about Jesus by following him and being open to new experiences. Now, there is another story in Scripture about hearing and responding to God's call. A story about a young boy who at the beginning did not know God, but heard God calling during the night. Young Samuel, a student to the high priest Eli, did not recognize God's calling him. Each time after hearing his name called, goes to Eli saying, "Here I am, you called me." And each time the priest Eli would tell him he was hearing things, that he did not call him, and go back to bed. It had been many years since Eli had heard the voice of God. Realizing that Samuel might be hearing from God, Eli tells young Samuel on the 4th try, "Listen, if you hear this voice again, say, 'Speak to me, Lord, for I am here.'" The uptake of the story is that it took an old man and a young boy to hear a message from God. The message to Eli wasn't so positive, but Eli recognized that God was going to once again be speaking to Israel through God's chosen one, which was going to be Samuel. There is a common thread in these two stories that we should take seriously. Too often, we have preconceived ideas as to who God can use to deliver God's messages to us. Based on the Hebrew scriptures, we know people were expecting the Messiah to come in a vastly different way than the way Jesus came. As Nathanael states, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" After meeting Jesus, he realized that God can and does use the most obscure and the very least. Within my mind, with this in mind, I wish to speak about how it is that we believe with this in mind, I wish to talk about how do we believe God is calling United Congregational Church to continue the calling of God, come and follow me. I believe messages from God come from many differing ways, sometimes through words and actions of people, but also through other ways of expression. Congregations express through the architecture of their buildings, their Christology or teachings of Christ. Our stained glass windows speak of what our ancestors understood, of what values they saw through Jesus' ministry and through Jesus' messages. It is a part of our family of faith's Christology. They are sublime messages of our witness to God's continual speaking. Looking at the windows, as you enter the church, we have 6 panels that express how we as a congregation speak of God's messages. The first bottom panel, we show a Bible, believing that we value the recording story of humanity's relationship with God. I see this panel strategically placed as the foundation, being on the bottom, of information in which we place our belief in God. A story that begins with God's creation through the assurance of God's ability to establish and rule over creation. Next is the panel with praying hands. It states a core value of how we communicate with God and believe that prayer is necessary as a component in our relationship with God. And on the top panel of the right side of the main doors is the message about the Holy Spirit and the promised comforter that Jesus sent to us as he was ascending into heaven. On the left side panel, we can see a panel of the bread and wine, saying that we believe in the life-sustaining message that Jesus gave through the bread and the fruit of the vine. For Jesus uses the bread as a daily necessity to sustain life, and the fruit represents the lifeline of that life. Next, we have a panel with shaking hands. For me, this speaks of reaching out to others, and that we become all, and that we welcome all into God's kingdom. The bottom panel contains a pair of sandals, a shepherd's crook, and the cross, which are symbols of the tools of the shepherd. We give value in shepherding, of caring for others. Near the front of the sanctuary, on the side door next to the organ, is a picture of Jesus praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. The message to me is not only can we come to God in our time of need, but it speaks about our need of turning life over to God. Whenever we ask that this cup be taken from me, yet let thy will be done, it shows the trust that we place into God's care. Then with the large window at the front of the building is the picture of Jesus holding a lamb and sheep at his feet. Now, there are multiple messages that one can find in this picture. The most obvious is the loving care Jesus gives to the vulnerable. It shows Jesus as one who cares for those who need a shepherd. And this window is capped with the symbol of praying hands. This tells me that as a people of God, we believe that prayer is the most important activity that we can participate in. Praying hands is visible at the entry of our church. Jesus shows praying hands at the front of our church, and praying hands are above the most prominent window of our church. Then there is one more set of stained glass patterns that run throughout the length of our sanctuary and the side windows of the narthex. We have 13 windows with a mixture of colored glass and shapes. That is significant to me. Significant in the fact that the number of windows that hold these shapes, and significant in that probably when these were installed, the idea of inclusiveness was most likely not on the minds of the congregation. But to me, it states our current value that no matter who you are or where you find yourself on life's journey, you are welcomed here. I see it as representing multicultural, multicolor, different size and shapes of people and differing abilities, all holding prominent value in our Christology just by the sheer numbers of windows that are here in the sanctuary. All of our stained glass windows are more than pretty pictures and vibrant colors. They are profound statements of our Christology, our understanding of Jesus as Christ. They speak to us the messages of what we understand God is asking us to live into. It tells onlookers what this church says about Jesus. It is a reminder of how we are to live the message of God. And that message is this: God calls us from all walks of life to join in the creation of God's kingdom here on earth, a kingdom that believes in justice and mercy, a kingdom of care and love, a kingdom of welcome and inclusion. And this is not a static message. Just as our stained glass windows can attest to, we believe in a still speaking God and our work of always living into God's word. Amen.